Close your eyes, not to escape the world, but to enter the only world that ever truly mattered, your inner reality. This is not a game of chance. This is a 48-hour challenge of certainty. You are not asking life for something, you are declaring what already is. You are stepping into the scene that you choose to live in. This is not about hoping, it is about knowing. Take the desire that's been stirring within you. Hold it clearly in your mind. Now imagine, right now, that it's already done. The money is in your account. The message has been received. The healing has occurred. The opportunity has opened. Don't just visualize it, enter it. Feel the relief. Feel the satisfaction. Feel the joy that can only come when something is real. In this 48-hour window, you are not to beg, plead, or wait. You are to become. You are to walk in faith, act in alignment, and rest in the truth that what you have assumed as real must now be made visible. Your job is not to chase it, your job is to accept it. You do this not with words, but with feeling, with stillness, with a deep inner knowing. You live as though the thing desired has already happened. You speak only from the end, you act only from the end. You move through life in these 48 hours as someone who has, not someone who wants. And as you persist in that state, without wavering, without checking, without doubting, the outer world will reconfigure itself to match your inner conviction. Watch closely in the next 48 hours. People will say things you imagined. Emails will arrive. Conversations will shift. Money will appear. Things will happen that make no logical sense and yet will feel perfectly natural to the one who believed first. The bridge of incidents is already forming. Your work is not to push. Your work is to trust. Life is not happening to you. It is happening through you. This is the challenge. For 48 hours, refuse to doubt. Refuse to entertain anything but the truth of your desire fulfilled. You are not hoping, you are knowing. You are not trying, you are resting. You are not waiting, you are receiving. Imagination is not just a tool, it is the very essence of creation. Everything you now call real began first as an unseen thought, a mental image, a silent vision held within the invisible chamber of the mind. It is there within your imagination that the entire world is born. People often underestimate the force of their inner world, treating imagination as something for artists or dreamers. But in truth, it is the seedbed of reality. The outer world is merely a reflection, a mirror of the images you consistently entertain within yourself. You cannot encounter anything in the external world that you have not first made room for internally. To imagine with feeling is to plant the seeds of experience. The moment you emotionally accept something as true, your world begins rearranging itself to reflect that assumption. What you feel to be true, even if it is not yet visible, becomes the framework from which your reality is built. And just as a shadow cannot detach itself from the form that casts it, your life cannot detach itself from the beliefs you hold within. This is not a matter of idle daydreaming or fantasy. It requires conscious attention when you deliberately choose the state you wish to occupy, when you see yourself already in possession of the desire and you feel that scene as if it were real. You are invoking the highest law in existence, and that law is always responding. It never sleeps. It never forgets. It only reflects. The world responds not to what you want, but to who you are being in imagination. If you see yourself as lacking, even if you pray or hope for abundance, you will only continue to reproduce lack. But if you see yourself in imagination as already wealthy, already loved, already whole, and you accept that vision with conviction, the universe bends to that inner truth. It may come through unexpected ways, through people you didn't anticipate, or through sudden changes that defy logic, but it must come. This is the mystery, that the unseen is more real than the seen. That the moment you accept a new state of being within, reality must follow. You do not need to struggle, strive, or manipulate. You only need to feel the state natural to you and live from that place. Imagination fused with feeling becomes belief, and belief is the foundation of all that you experience. Do not wait for evidence. Do not wait for the outer world to give you permission. It is not the cause, it is the effect. You are the cause. You, the one imagining, the one believing, the one feeling the end from within. That is the divine power placed in your hands. Guard your imagination as the sacred center of your world. For whatever you see and accept within, when it is felt deeply enough, must become flesh. It is law. To assume the wish is fulfilled is to abandon all questions, all doubts, and all appearances that contradict your desire. It is to mentally and emotionally occupy the state where your wish is not a hope, not a dream, but a present reality. This is the secret, not merely to receiving what you desire, but to becoming it. Desire is not something to be chased. It is something to be embodied. When you assume the wish fulfilled, you no longer speak of it as something far off or unavailable. You speak, think, and feel from the experience of it already being yours. This is not about pretending or fooling yourself. It is about understanding the laws of consciousness. Your outer world is a mirror that reflects your inner state. If you constantly dwell in the feeling of wanting, then wanting is what will be prolonged. But the moment you shift into the feeling of having, everything begins to move. You enter into alignment with a version of yourself who already has the thing desired. And once you persist in that inner knowing, the world cannot help but reflect it back to you. To live from the end is to walk by inner vision, not by physical sight. It is to allow the inner scene, crafted in imagination and accepted as true, to become more vivid and more important than anything the outer world may suggest. This requires discipline of thought and feeling. It requires you to let go of checking, doubting, waiting, and needing. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because in your world it already has. You no longer look for signs of change, because your inner world is the change. The joy you feel when something arrives in the physical world must first be felt within. That feeling is the magnet, the signal, the confirmation that you are one with your desire, and once that emotional alignment is stable, the manifestation is inevitable. It may come in surprising ways, through a chain of seemingly random events, but it will come. Because the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not just a mood, it is a creative act. This is why you must be selective with your inner conversations. You must dwell only in the atmosphere of your fulfilled desire. Every time you return to that inner state, you are watering the seed of your manifestation. And eventually, without force or struggle, it blossoms into form. Fuming the wish fulfilled is not a one-time practice. It is a state of being. It becomes your natural dwelling place, your emotional home. You carry it with you in every step, every word, every thought. And in doing so, you collapse the illusion of separation between you and your desire. You become it. You are it. And what you are must eventually be made visible. This is the great mystery, the great power, to feel the end as real and to rest in its certainty, even before the world gives you proof. The proof will come, but it will follow your assumption, not precede it. Time, as most understand it, is a measurement of delay. It is the space between desire and fulfillment. But in the realm of true creation, time holds no power. It bends to the quality of belief. When faith is absolute, when it is undivided, unshaken, and pure. The outer world responds with speed, with precision, and with clarity. It is not that the world is slow to respond, but that our belief is often hesitant, split, or incomplete. The law of creation does not delay. It waits only for you to fully accept what is already yours. When belief is complete, a shift occurs not in the world, but in you. And that inner shift is everything. It is the collapsing of doubt. It is the silencing of the question, how? It is the moment when you no longer reach for your desire because you know it has already been claimed, already been planted, already unfolding beneath the surface. From that inner conviction, the bridge of incidents begins to form. Events, people, conversations, and coincidences that lead you directly to the fulfillment of what you have imagined. These bridges are not random. They are perfectly orchestrated, though the mind cannot always predict the pattern. But rest assured, the moment belief becomes pure, untainted by fear, urgency, or contradiction, these bridges move into action. It is not your effort that builds them, it is your state of consciousness. And when your inner state is fixed, when your assumption is stable, the law responds quickly. Time does not create, time only reveals what belief has already made real. The delay you perceive is not the universe withholding, it is your own uncertainty vibrating into form. And the moment you release that uncertainty, the moment you rest fully in the knowing that it is already done, everything accelerates. Time becomes irrelevant because fulfillment is felt now. This is why faith is the master key. Not blind hope, not desperate longing, but complete inner certainty. A deep, unwavering trust in the unseen. When you live from that place, you do not need signs. You do not need to monitor or control the unfolding. You understand that it is already set in motion, and you walk in peace. The law does not operate in chaos. It is precise, exact, mathematical. It moves according to belief. And when belief is complete, so is the manifestation. It may take a day, a week, or a moment. But once the inner state is solidified, the rest is just unfolded. So let go of watching the clock. Stop measuring the distance. Release the need to make it happen. Enter the end in consciousness and stay there. Let the feeling of completion be your anchor. And from that place, let the law do what it always does. Respond to your belief, swiftly and faithfully. Because when faith is absolute, time is no longer a barrier. It becomes the servant of your vision. The greatest hindrance to manifestation is the need to know how it will happen. The logical mind insists on controlling the steps, charting the path, manipulating the unfolding. But creation does not work that way. The mind was never meant to determine the method, only to accept the end. Your responsibility is not to figure out the route, but to faithfully dwell in the destination. When you detach from the how and remain loyal to the what, you align yourself with the creative power that knows more than the intellect ever could. The path is never revealed from the beginning. It unfolds as you remain steady in your assumption of the end fulfilled. And the more you insist on figuring out the how, the more you introduce doubt. Why? Because the moment you say it has to happen this way, you limit the infinite intelligence that surrounds you. You reduce the vast and miraculous to something small and narrow. You attempt to control what is already under perfect control. The truth is, the how is not yours to manage. It is not your burden to carry. The bridge of incidents, the unseen series of events that lead you from where you are to where you desire to be, will form naturally. It may come through ways you never imagined. It may seem irrational, even impossible to the logical mind. But that is the nature of the creative law. It works beyond the reach of your current understanding. So what must you do? You must become obsessed not with the method, but with the end result. You must see it, feel it, and know it to be real within you now. Not in some distant future, but here, in the present moment. This is not wishful thinking. This is the act of creation. When you become loyal to the end, so loyal that you refuse to entertain anything contrary, your world begins to change. The unseen forces that shape reality move in response to your inner conviction. As you remain faithful to your vision, people, places, opportunities, and changes begin to appear. The puzzle assembles itself without your effort, and your only task is to maintain the inner atmosphere of already having. That is your offering. That is your part. Doubt enters when you begin to think it's your job to make it happen. You do not have to make it happen. You only have to let it happen by believing it already has. Your confidence in the unseen determines how swiftly the seen adjusts. Let the feeling of the wish fulfilled dominate your mind, and the details will take care of themselves. Stay loyal to the what. Refuse to be swayed by appearances. Let the outer world be what it is. It is temporary and always moving. Your job is to remain anchored in the end. And if you do that, the how will reveal itself, step by step, without strain or confusion, because when you live in the end, the means must find you. You are always in conversation with yourself. Every thought, every silent word, every image you hold carries power. It is not idle chatter, it is creation. Your inner conversations shape the outer circumstances of your life. And so, if you wish to create what you truly desire, you must dwell only on that. You must make your mind a sacred space, reserved not for worry, not for fear, not for replaying past pain or predicting future lack, but for the fulfilled vision of what you want. Most people believe they are thinking from free will, yet they are ruled by habit, by repetition, by inherited stories of limitation. And these stories, repeated often enough, become beliefs. Beliefs create patterns, patterns shape outcomes. If you continue to entertain thoughts of what if it doesn't happen, or why is it taking so long, you reinforce delay. You feed the very lack you are trying to escape. So you must become deliberate. You must become the gatekeeper of your mind. Every time a thought arises that contradicts your desire, you must notice it, not with fear, but with firmness, and gently replace it. Speak only that which confirms your dream. Think only in alignment with the life you've already claimed within. If you desire love, speak as if love is already yours. If you desire wealth, think as one who lives in abundance. If you desire healing, affirm your wholeness. You must feel the truth of these things, even when the world tells you otherwise. This is not denial of reality, it is selection of a higher reality. You are not ignoring facts. You are choosing which facts to feed. And what you feed grows. You cannot dwell on doubt and expect confidence. You cannot dwell on failure and expect success. You cannot dwell on sickness and expect health. You must align your inner dialogue with your desired outcome, completely and consistently. This requires awareness. Most inner conversations are unconscious, shaped by yesterday's fears. But when you become conscious of what you say to yourself, you gain back your power. You begin to see how every word is a seed, and every feeling is the water that makes it grow. So you become selective. You begin to live from the end, speaking and thinking only as one who already possesses what they once desired. This is the key to transformation, inner fidelity, to stay loyal to the vision within you, to say no to every whisper of fear or delay, and to say yes again and again to the truth of your imagined outcome. You do not argue with the old story. You simply stop feeding it. And over time, as you continue to affirm and assume the new, your world reshapes itself accordingly. Your life is echoing what you dwell on. So dwell only on what you want. Let your inner world become a garden of certainty, joy, and completion, and from that inner state, your outer life will bloom in perfect reflection. In the noise of the world, the mind becomes scattered. Thoughts rush, emotions flare, and the soul is pulled in 1,000 directions. In this state, creation is clouded. Manifestation becomes effortful, uncertain, even frustrating. But when you enter stillness, true inner stillness, you step into the secret chamber where all things are made. It is not in striving or grasping, but in quiet surrender that the seed of desire is planted in fertile ground. Stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness without movement. It is peace that holds power. In the stillness of your inner being, you are closest to the creative force that responds not to noise, but to clarity. When you quiet the external chatter and silence the internal dialogue, you become receptive. You become open to guidance, to insight, and most importantly, to the impression of your fulfilled desire. This stillness is the secret door because it bypasses logic, it dissolves resistance. It allows the assumption of the wish fulfilled to take root, not as a fleeting thought, but as a deep knowing. When the mind is silent, you no longer plead for what you want, you receive it, you feel it, you become it. In this sacred silence, you no longer imagine you are lacking, because in stillness there is no lack, there is only being. The world around you may still appear unchanged, but you know better. For in that still, quiet moment, something real has shifted. A seed has been placed in consciousness. And just as no farmer doubts the growth of a planted seed, you rest in faith. You do not disturb the soil with anxious thought. You do not rush about trying to force growth. You trust in what you cannot yet see because you have felt it within. The world reshapes itself in response to this still conviction. It may not move as your mind expects. The changes may appear subtle at first, but the law is exact. What you accept in stillness must appear in form, not because you fought for it, but because you surrendered into it. You accepted it as already true. So when doubt comes, return to stillness. When fear rises, do not fight it. Fall silent, let the noise pass like a cloud. Let the breath bring you back. Sit quietly and remember the feeling of already having. That feeling is the portal. That silence is the bridge. Stillness is not weakness. It is the birthplace of power. It is in silence that God speaks. It is in quiet that the unseen begins to shape the seen. You are not forgotten in stillness. You are remembered. You are not doing nothing. You are doing the most powerful thing you can, aligning yourself with the truth of who you are and what you desire. So step away from the noise, close the door, be still, and know in that sacred space that your word is heard, your vision is planted, and your world is already in motion. And now, beloveds, you see the truth. Creation is not a matter of effort, but of assumption. It is not in trying harder, but in surrendering deeper. Within you lies the only power that shapes the world around you. Your imagination, when filled with feeling and conviction, becomes the mold through which your entire reality is cast. You have been given the map to see only what you want, to feel as though it's already yours, to release the need to know how, to remain faithful in silence, and to walk with unwavering trust. These are not mere ideas. They are eternal laws. They are the keys to manifesting your desire within 48 hours or even sooner, if your faith is complete and your inner world remains loyal to the end you have claimed. This is not magic, it is law. And the law never fails. So now the challenge is not whether it will come. The only question is, will you dare to believe? Will you dare to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, to speak only of its reality, to see no contradiction, to live from the end? Thank you for walking this path. Thank you for choosing stillness over struggle, clarity over confusion, and faith over fear. You are not alone on this journey. The power within you is eternal, infinite, and faithful. Now go and assume boldly the world is already bending in your favor. Thank you.